Okay, according to that, we're live. So, good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever-loving host, Shorty, and today we are going to review Werewolf by Night. Now, this is a relaunch of an absolutely classic bit of Marvel horror. And it was Marvel horror that introduced a whole bunch of characters, which carried on going for years and became hugely cool and famous. And it was also just kind of cool horror. But it's been relaunched. I had to be told who Taboo was, by the way, who's writing it. But it's not just him writing it. We actually look into it. It's Taboo and B. Earl. B. Earl's name is not on the cover. Not entirely sure why that is. In my head, I'd say it's because Taboo, not being a comic book writer, may have done quite a lot of the plotting and maybe had some ideas on layouts, but they've got somebody who knows about comic book writing to make sure it still flows. Some people may judge that as a bad thing and like, no, let him do what he wants to do. He's the writer. He's his name on the cover. Why isn't it his comic book? But as I've said before, some people who don't write comic books, who give it a shot, don't necessarily get it right first time. They don't have an instinctual idea of how a page layout flows and how a story expands as a result of using the medium rather than just writing it. So getting somebody who knows what they're talking about, not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. In fact, it is actually pretty damn well written. There is a couple of issues with it, which I'll get to later on. My biggest issue, though, is the artwork. It's just uninspiring. And I've said this before about Marvel, probably more than any of the other companies I review. When it comes down to their artwork, they either put on one of their top flight guys or girls, and it's absolutely amazing stuff, or they just get somebody in to do it who's basically been paid a wage to do a job, and it kind of lacks any major, nuance or style, or there's no real heart in it. And that's a shame because the writing goes the other way. The writing's got a lot of heart in it. And I'm about to say something now, which is very rare, I think people would say about comic books, but this has got some absolutely top flight racism in it. And I don't mean that like, yay, racism. That's not me at all. I mean, it actually does really well at getting across some very bigoted viewpoints without just relying on the traditional racial slurs and the like. Because I've got to be honest, if Marvel put one of something like that in the comic book, even if it's used by a villain in a terrible way, they'd probably still get some pushback from it. So they find other ways of doing it, and it's a very effective way of doing it. Okay, so young Native American turned up and asked these hunters to leave the reservation land because, it's their land. And the reply is, this is brilliant, by the way. This is America, sweetie. Everyone was being called sweetie. All of it. You Indians are part of it too. Big old melting pot. Stop trying so hard to be different. That's brilliant. Now, not only does it Indian instead of Native American or First Nation or anything like that, it's just Indian, so straight out and out, a bit of a slur in there, but not the worst thing they probably could be called. But what it does is actually sum up with the way a lot of racist people think, which is the idea of it's like, oh no, the problem with you people who are in America like long before we turned up is you're not American enough. It's mind-boggling, but absolutely true that people think that way. And they do a couple of little things like that. Some of it is like the I think what's the phrase for it? It's like casually just saying, "Oh no, you Indians are far more rugged than us," and it's like that just means you're going to put them in situations where it's really dangerous for them. And it's also, again, that is still racism. So yeah, clearly whoever's writing this, taboo as they are. They have got some feelings on this and they put them out there and they do not hide it. You've got actually a few different levels of interest across the Native American spectrum as well, which is quite cool. You've got an older woman who's everyone refers to as Nana, I think it is, but she is also fully understanding that there is a lot to be said about modern conveniences. And then you've got some big red wolf guy, I think he's called, who works for the government, who's tracking down supers, especially young ones, because the old outlaw thing that's going on at the moment. It's kind of nice to see that tied in, actually. That was a cool little take on it, because the main character is a teenager, so that could come back in later on. Because I'm reading Mars Morales, which is a big part of the outlaw thing. It's kind of nice to see Marvel tying that stuff in a way which doesn't feel invasive. It's not like, this is an outlaw tie. If you want the full story, you have to buy this as well. It's more like, nah, it just takes place in the world. So let's have that be part of the story without it necessarily being a huge part of the story. And that is cool. That's actually really good bit of writing. Throughout it all, there is just really good writing. But I said there's going to be some problems. And it's the very last page. You might be thinking, oh no, I'm about to get this spoiled for me. What is Shorty doing? He's usually a guy who avoids spoilers. Without any context, this won't really mean much to you. But I want you to think yourself now, what's like one of the most 90s bits of comic book artwork you've seen? Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong, late 90s, early 2000s, there were some great things that came out, but I can't help but feel that that is just trying its hardest to emulate some terrible things. And that's not a good way to end an issue one of a comic book, I'm afraid. It kind of makes me go, I was really looking forward to reading issue 2 right until that point. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you enjoy my reviews, by the way. I've actually been getting quite a few more comments on stuff, and people seem to be finding us, which is great. If you do like these, or if you just think I'm a bit daft and you want to share it with people, please share it. I don't care. We actually really enjoy doing these here, so yeah, let's keep it going and let's get loads of people watching them. Hit the subscribe. For now, that I'm going to say I'm not going to be back until Tuesday when I'm going to do another new comic book day video. So until then, enjoy your weekend. Bye.